Welcome to our Web3 Creator Series, where we learn about the best crypto enthusiasts, NFT artists, and I am your host today, Kareem Mays, on NFT Plazas. Today, we are talking to Jennifer and Kevin McCoy. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Hi.
Doing really good.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm really looking forward to getting into everything that you do. So before we get started, I'm curious. Different people have heard about NFTs in different ways. Maybe it was through a friend. Maybe sometimes they ran onto something on the internet. How did you find out about the NFT space and kind of what attracted you to create your own NFTs?
That's a really interesting story from our point of view.
Yeah, I mean, so, for me, that story starts 10 years ago with Bitcoin and learning about Bitcoin, getting really into the Satoshi white paper, really kind of getting my head around what that technology was, and realizing that Satoshi had created this model for digital scarcity, that kind of previously never existed before that. And Jen and I are longtime digital artists, making software-based works, installation-based work, things like that. And we're very aware of the challenges that come with making non-physical artworks. And so in 2013, kind of seeing what Bitcoin was able to do, what Satoshi was able to do with Bitcoin, it was pretty clear to me that technology could be useful for digital artists, that there probably was a way to create a mechanism of scarcity around digital artworks. And so that was the project that I was kind of obsessed with in 2013. And then it kind of took a while to figure out exactly how to do it. So, in 2014, I was invited to an event in New York at the New Museum to present the researches that I had done around this, and working together with another guy, Anil Dash, to to this public presentation around these ideas. And so that was in May of 2014. And we presented this idea that we called monograph, or monetized graphics. And we told the story of how this blockchain technology, in conjunction with digital art, could create a form of scarcity. And in the context of that presentation, we released a public tool that other people could use. And over the course of that, I created these first works that turned out to be the very first NFTs. So, introducing that idea back in 2014 and creating those works, there was not a lot of understanding of what it was. And, the technology then was very simple. This is, a year or so before the Ethereum testnet was launched. So it was a totally different kind of tool set. But the idea was there, and the records that we created, the blockchain records, functioned, and a number of people across 2014 were able to follow along and use our technology and create kind of the first set of NFTs. And then I really focused on platform building. So we took that idea and tried to make a platform. And this was monograph.com in its earliest days, in 2015 and 16. Was a tool that artists could use to put works on this is on the Bitcoin blockchain, create, Bitcoin-based registrations. And we had a marketplace and had a phone app, smart TV app, all kinds of ways that people could show their collection. But even then, nobody understood the idea, and there just was not any transactions. Nobody was going to buy. And the technology was really kludgy. So, that kind of prehistory moment, that prehistory time, was really frustrating, because it was pretty clear to me that the idea was a real idea and an important idea, and that digital scarcity around artworks was possible, and that idea was going to be something that could help artists. But it was just way too soon. And it took the world a long time to catch up to the idea. And then, fast forward to 2020, when the when the upcycle really started to happen, in Super Rare and OpenSea and that kind of thing. Then I had stepped away, kind of from the idea. But people were reaching out to me at that point saying, isn't this what you were talking about back then? And it's like, yeah, this is what I was talking about. This is it. Of course, the technology now, the Ethereum standards are different from what we were doing back then, but the idea is exactly the same. And the mechanism's largely the same. And so then by 2020, it got kind of brought, people were, asking my advice, asking for help in kind of doing things, whatever, and got kind of brought back into it. And then in 2021, the kind of real hype cycle began. And then that's when the blockchain historians and archaeologists started kind of looking back to like where this idea came from. And eventually they they found me and they found the work that I had done back then in creating those very first NFTs. And then, I was able to, kind of successfully bring that first one to market through Sotheby's back in 2021. So there was this whole wave of kind of conversations in 2021 around the history, but also just, all kinds of stuff going on. And so I talked to a lot of people and was involved in a lot of artists, helping artists, kind of do their projects, helping platforms, working with people like Christie's, like Sotheby's, Phillips, kind of helping them with their back ends for projects that they were doing, and kind of focusing on that kind of platform stuff. But then, we're at the end of the day, Jen and I are artists, and artwork making is the most important thing for us. And so, happily, I'm now focused on kind of the production side of things, which ultimately I'm much happier with.
That was definitely a really, really good answer, because I jumped into Bitcoin back in the day, but I was trying to figure out, what is this blockchain? What is this alternative form of money? And you really don't know until you start to get into it. And that's what I want to encourage people to do here when they see this, is to say, okay, what is NFTs? How can it transform the way things work? Kind of like the internet did, and then Bitcoin did, and then everything did. Then it's a progression into how does it really work out. And I give you kudos for getting in so early and learning about, the ecosystem and figuring out how do these things actually work. It's exciting to be a pioneer in these types of things. So I saw your thing on Quantum, really, really impressed with it. How often do you create different artworks or NFTs?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've done, so we were really, in terms of NFTs specifically, we were doing, kind of one of one. So the Quantum, project that had a whole, kind of process with it, to it. And then we followed up that with a second project in 2021 called Quantum Leap, that was a generative work that spawned additional tokens. And that's a series of 8, and we've just released 2 of those tokens to date. But so it's kind of a slow rollout. We haven't really been in a huge hurry to release stuff. We've been practicing artists for a long time, and follow our own schedule, our own interests, if you know what I mean. So, but then we did a project in 2018 with the Whitney Museum. That involved a token around being credited as a donor for an artwork. And we used a token to create a secondary market around being listed as a donor, kind of a donorship token, kind of after the fact. That was a project called Public Key, Private Key. But those tokens never really circulated publicly because no one
had a wallet.
Well, nobody wanted to sell them. Everyone wanted to be the be the donor. So that ended up, it was kind of a market experiment that ended up not really having much of a market. But that led us to thinking about tokens in a I guess, kind of social tokens, right?
Yeah.
Kind of use that kind of label.
And that's the project that we worked on with Feral File that opened last month. And so that was an extension where we took all the people that had the social token that we, had worked with in 2018, and we asked them to sort of crowdsource JPEGs that we then wrapped into an NFT that we made, an edition of for the Feral File Chain Reaction Show, which is great because it's so many artists in that show that, we knew from the digital world before NFTs, people who are interested in different kinds of AI, people building sculptures, people working in the gallery. But all of the works in the Chain Reaction Show are premised on the fact that they connect to an ecosystem, either something environmental or in our case, a social group. And so they all, have these sort of like ticketed or, kind of iterative relationships to, groups of people going further.
Yeah, and so we made a project with that. So we made this animation, and that had an edition of 100 that was released there based on a kind of single animation, and then we'll use those people to kind of expand this social circle, for future projects. And then we're doing our very first, what would be considered a kind of more traditional, more typical launch that's coming up in a couple of weeks, or in next week, April 5th, with the platform called Art World. And we hadn't really done stuff with platforms. We had spent so much time kind of building platforms, and although mine ultimately didn't work out, it just was like not that ready to engage with them. But this, the group behind Art World really is a great group, and the kind of they're really on our wavelength. And we put together this really great project that we're really excited about called Land, Sea, and Sky.
I really like that, and I'm looking forward to seeing Land, Sea, and Sky, so have to keep me updated on that. I think one thing that's interesting that you were highlighting on is that NFTs actually have different causes. People don't think about it like that sometimes. Sometimes they'll just think, oh, I can own this piece of art, which is fine. Mm-hmm. It's great to collect art. But what's really exciting about NFTs is actually the utility to me. Oh, I can use this as an avatar in a game. Oh, this has an incentive to help animals around the world, or to help with this social issue, or to help with this problem, but it's decentralized. Mm-hmm. There's no middleman saying, oh, we have to do this. There's someone saying, I care about the environment. Here are different trees, for example. Or I care about helping cats or dogs. Here's different animals. Or I care about helping people in this region or this issue. Check this out. So that's a really good thing that NFTs can do, is not only be something that people can collect, but actually be something that has utility that makes the world ultimately a better place through decentralization, which is what I'm excited about. So you're talking about your arts, and you got into different groups, you're working on it. Kind of what's your creative process when you're going from inception to creative?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's hard to really pin down. We're a collaborative pair, so it's not just you're not just it's not just you and your idea, whatever. It's always this kind of multiplicity, and so you're just kind of I think the artist's main job is looking out at the world and kind of trying to assess the landscape in some way, and then reporting back in whatever form that's going to take, be it an oil painting that you see in the museum from 200 years ago, or kind of new forms that are possible now. It's still this reflection of the environment that's in front of you. And so both, I think Jen and I we're constantly kind of just looking around, thinking about stuff.
Yeah, talking about all the changes we see, and not just as a way to like be ahead of the curve or something, but really to try to think about, well, okay, if there's this new technology, obviously people can use it, but if they use it, then what happens? Like, what happens to people's daily lives? What happens to their interpersonal relationships? What happens to the way they make money? What happens to people who, can't make a living anymore because of these changes? So we're really trying to kind of talk about, not just the art historical evolution of using the tools that are, becoming available in our lifetime, but, just the impact of all of that, and trying to, kind of understand it through the work. You could make a painting or a sculpture about these technological changes as well. But it's exciting to be using the tools to talk about the tools, and have it be this, more direct kind of feedback loop.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. You brought that up also, with AI being into the picture and a lot of AI in the NFT and DeFi space, we're going to see how that's going to impact art because it can do different types of things. That's something to definitely take a look at. But it's always a good idea to balance technological progress with what we actually see in the world and take a look at nature or what's going on around you, observe your environment and figure out what is the best way to go. And I think that's kind of what led me to like looking at some of the stuff that you are doing. Now, if creators wanted to take a look at some of the pieces you've created and see, okay, what are these guys up to? Where's a good place to find your work? And do you have a particular piece that you're really proud of?
So this new project, is a series of 310 NFTs. They're videos, 300 shorter form videos and 10 longer form ones as part of this project called Land, Sea, and Sky. And that's being produced together with Art World. And they've done a great job of kind of telling that story on their website and kind of talking about this new this new body of work that's happening. Like my hair is going a little longer since that picture. So we're really happy with how that's turned out, and that's kind of our main, that's our project right now. I'm sure there's going to be a second, the secondary, on this after it's launched. There seems to be a lot of interest in the allow list. And so this is kind of the main body of work that's going to be available. We're in development of some additional projects, kind of after that. But our own website, mccoyspace.com, is also, a great place to kind of see our work more generally. I don't know. Those are all.
Yeah, I think those are good tips. And the other kind of places, maybe museum collections. We did this early project that was also a database project, but completely, this is 2001, so it was at the verge of just the beginning of digital video, and that's in the collection of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and they showed it a couple years ago in terms of at a larger group show. So various museum collections have pieces here and there, but the website is certainly the best clearinghouse to look at everything.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I always want to make sure that people, when they're inspired, they can go see what you guys are doing. You have multiple artists there. Really like the way this is shaping up. So I'm definitely going to be taking a look at your further projects and the stuff you have coming up in the future, because this is really exciting. And you got in really early. So I'm looking forward to see how your inspiration evolves over time and kind of what it becomes, when you're taking a look at how the landscape changes.
Yeah, totally.
All right, guys. So last question I have for you is, if I'm looking for NFT news, which is the best place to go?
Well, we really enjoy getting, learning, seeing your platform and checking it out. And I think that this, this forum, this kind of format is super useful, so that you're doing with NFT Plaza. And, there's a real need for quality information. You spend 5 minutes in this space and just how insane the kind of infosphere can be. And we all were kind of, saw the kind of world of scams of the last year, so people need, kind of quality information that they can trust, so I think that you guys are doing a great job there.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. That's one of our goals too, is to give people quality information, because unfortunately, sometimes people, when they learn about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or NFTs or DeFi, they're not quite aware of what the space is all about. So sometimes they have good assumptions or negative ones. We're here to clear those assumptions out and give them quality information so they can make a good decision based on what they have and what their potential is, especially in terms of art, the financial sector, gaming. They can really learn a lot more, and you guys are contributing to that. You jumped in early, so I give you a big shout out for that. Thank you so much.
Wonderful to meet you. Yeah, I'm really excited about the new project, and the Feral File one is still online and has a great essays by Christian Paul and notes from all the artists. So I also hope people can check out the Feral File project as well.
Definitely. And I'll be keeping an eye on everything you're doing. Super excited for it. Is there anything before we close that you'd like to let people know about your work, or
just the general thing of like, if you're new to this space, it is this technology can help artists, and it does help artists. And I've met countless people over the last 2 years that had their lives kind of changed and helped and moved forward by this. And so, I'm still super excited, and super excited with these tools and the way they're being built and deployed.
Yeah. And I love that there's all different price points that people can get involved, coming from the fine art world. Projects and, art can be very, unavailable, unobtainable, and just out of reach. And I like that at all different scales, there's ways to engage directly with artists and their work. So I think that's the strength of the NFT research, surge,
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out in terms of NFTs because people are excited of the potential.
Yeah.
So with that being said, thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you for your experience.
All right.
This has been your Web3 Creator Series with Jennifer and Kevin McCoy. Awesome right here. Really impressed. They got in early. They made an impact. Thank you so much for spending the time, guys, watching our Web3 Creator Series where we interview the most creative NFT artists and crypto enthusiasts. I'm your host, Kareem Mays. I will see you in the next episode.